Hello everyone, my name is Gabby, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super review. This time reviewing episode 90. Finished with his training, Gohan meets up with Goku, wanting to test his power against him. They decide to practice teamwork with a 2-on-2 fight, Gohan and Piccolo versus Goku and Ten Shinhan. Gohan and Piccolo showcase their strategies, although it doesn't do much to help beat Goku. Then Gohan asks with a 1-on-1 fight with his father. He powers up and their fight begins. While Goku is impressed just how strong Gohan has become, Gohan wants to fight him at full power. And when Goku does, once the smoke clears, Gohan falls to the ground defeated. But he's satisfied with how far he's come, and so is Goku, who names him the team leader for Universe 7. So, what did I like about this episode? Well, first of all, I actually did really enjoy the two fights that we got this episode. First, the team fight, and then the singular fight between Goku and Gohan. And I think part of the reason as to why I enjoyed these fights wasn't even necessarily like the content of the fights, but more like the actual kind of nitty-gritty sort of fighting choreography. These fights actually did showcase those strategies which everyone kept talking about. Like strategy to do with teamwork and how you overcome opponents and being smart in battle. And we actually got to see some of that in these fights. We had stuff like Gohan and Piccolo doing this kind of combination attack where Piccolo charges up while Gohan kind of distracts everyone else. And then when Piccolo does his attack, Gohan uses that opportunity to try and get in a free hit when the person is getting overwhelmed. And then even in the second part, the Goku-Gohan fight, we had Goku using strategies with stuff like Goku and Gohan go into have this beam struggle, and then Goku kind of teleports away out of the beam struggle, and then he uses that to get a free hit on Gohan. It actually did. This episode actually did showcase those ideas that they were saying that oh, we're going to use strategy in this fight. I wasn't actually sure if they were going to do stuff like that in this tournament, but this episode actually did use that, and it made the fights a bit more interesting and a bit less one-sided, and also it was fun to see what these characters would pull out as opposed to just pulling out new fancy giant explosions. It was they had kind of strategies, and it's fun. I really hope they keep this up. Also, it was nice to see Gowasu and Universe 10 here, just kind of having this brief cameo where they're kind of just showing their contestants, their kind of gimmick, what they're kind of going on about and sort of why they chose them in the first place. I mean, I like this. It is nice to do it. It kind of does feel while the Universe 7 guys are doing things, meanwhile, everywhere else, other people are also doing things. And it's nice because we didn't even necessarily see them fight, but it's more just we kind of saw their gimmick. So it's it's not going to be completely overloading when they bring all these teams in all at once. So, I don't know how they're going to stagger that out for everyone else, but I liked that they put it in this episode. And I liked that they did it for Universe 10, the universe we actually know about. And they did also mention Zamasu as well. So, the Future Trunks arc feels like it is kind of having a little bit of an effect here on this tournament. But let's just go and address the thing which I think everyone wants to hear me talk about, and that is Gohan in this episode. This episode was basically just dedicated to Gohan, and they went out of their way to make Gohan look cool and competent in his own right. And I think that in itself is probably one of the most interesting things about it so far. I mean, it's a really big jump if you think about it. From the guy who was so happy with his life that nobody bothered to even tell him that there was a plot going on, to the guy who was apparently so strong and so competent in such a short period of time that seeing that, Goku wondered why he wanted to bother going to the other universes so badly when he was right there. Gohan was right there and he could have fought him and tried to train with him anytime he wanted. They've really been hyping up Gohan this arc, and I thought that was just me almost feeling that wishful thinking, but no, it seems like they legitimately want to do a lot of stuff with him. They're making him the team leader for Universe 7. Not Goku, Gohan. Gohan is leading the team, and that is a really interesting role and something that he's obviously never done before. It is nice, and I do actually appreciate this. I do appreciate, they are taking a supporting cast member, someone who didn't do much in Super, making them a really big deal, and also giving them something kind of important to do in this tournament. Not just oh, it's the Gohan comeback, Gohan's really strong, let's show how strong Gohan is by having him beat up guys or whatever. They're making him the leader here. It feels like his character kind of has a bit of a direction in this tournament. He doesn't feel like just another fighter, which I thought they were going to do. It seems like out of all these characters, Gohan is someone they want to put a lot of special attention to, and I am finding that very, very interesting. And I do think this is interesting and something worth noting. The fact that they're actually kind of exploring Gohan as an adult and as a fighter. He's no longer the 5-year-old who's hiding behind everyone's wings until he gets a random like rage boost and then he surprises everyone and he goes back to the scared little kid. He's grown up now, he's matured, and now they're kind of like actually exploring what he'd be like as a fighter, which is something that, yeah, because of the way the Buu saga turned out, we never really got to see much of. And then in GT we didn't get to see much of. And in Super we never really got to see much of it until now. And I have my concerns over how they might do it, but I am also enjoying the things that they are doing. As for what I didn't like about this episode, so Goku decides to go Super Saiyan 2? Okay. It is a bit of an odd choice to have Goku consciously do, and it is also leading to what seems to be kind of one of my biggest criticisms of this episode, and that is just, like, how much stronger is Gohan? If Gohan really had gotten all of his old power back, like, just judging by stuff in the Buu saga and, like, sort of, like, looking who beats who and everything like that, the fact is, like, Ultimate Gohan is probably way stronger than Goku in Super Saiyan 3. So it makes you think that if Goku was going to hold back, that would be the form he'd use against Gohan. Unless you want to say that because of all the stuff with all his training and the God Key and whatever, Super Saiyan 2 has now gotten a massive boost in power to the point that it can match up to Ultimate Gohan. But then I'm just going to quote Hermes here and say that just raises further questions. If Gohan has a boost to his power, his Super Saiyan 2 power, how big is the boost? When did it happen? Does this apply to all of his other forms? Does Super Saiyan 2 have a specific extra God Key multiplier, as opposed to Super Saiyan, which has a separate God Key multiplier? It's just like the more you try to sort of understand this, the more confused you get, and I feel like they didn't necessarily need to make this so confusing. It's the same kind of issue I think I had during Android 17's debut episode, and that is that Toei is being kind of intentionally vague about just how strong everyone is. And I guess you don't really necessarily need to know how strong everyone is, especially in an arc like this where it feels like the entire power scale just kind of got thrown out the window. But at the very least, it would have been very helpful to know exactly just how much stronger Gohan has gotten, and if that training actually helped and how the training actually helped. Because this week, we spent the entire episode watching Gohan fight, and I still have absolutely no idea how much stronger he is, except for the fact that he's weaker than Super Saiyan Blue Goku with it he's using his Kaioken. And that's still just kind of like a, well, duh, of course he is. The longer that they're being intentionally vague about this, the more confused I'm getting, and I think the more confused everyone is getting, and I honestly would prefer to have an actual kind of proper concrete grasp on the concepts. That would be nice. It would help me understand what they're trying to convey a bit more. So, as for next episode, well, now that Universe 7's team has been formed, we're actually going to go and explore the other universes in more detail and see what their teams are like and what their recruiting is like. And that actually sounds like a lot of fun and something that, now that I'm seeing that, I'm actually feeling like this almost feels like a little bit overdue. But I'm excited for next episode, mostly just because of 4 words. Universe 7 strategy meeting. While that does sound like the most unlike Dragon Ball thing that they've ever done so far, that also sounds like a lot of fun, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. And I've even figured out ways to make that thing that seems like the worst idea ever to maybe not be the worst thing ever. So hopefully everything is going to work out. So that was Dragon Ball Super episode 90. Honestly, it was actually a really fun episode. Besides the whole being intentionally vague about things, the only actual proper criticism I have, which isn't even really its fault, is the fact that it just happened to be 2 weeks after episode 88, which in my opinion was basically almost like the perfect Gohan episode. And it's very hard to live up to that. In episode 88, they made Gohan do cool things while also actually exploring his character in depth and also trying to highlight some of his flaws. Whereas in episode 90, they only really did about maybe one of those things, maybe 1.5, 2 if you're feeling a little bit generous. This episode was more kind of a sort of congratulatory pat on the back to Gohan for all of the hard work he's kind of done this arc, and that in itself is fun and it's nice and it's really nice to see, but my only concern is if they go a bit too far here, it's going to go into the level of kind of just gratuitous fan service of just like, hey guys, Gohan's so cool, look at him, how cool he is, please like him again, please like us again, as opposed to like actually kind of looking at things that make sense for his character. Yeah, I know, I'm kind of impossible to impress, or maybe I just have really high standards when it comes to like one particular character, but I mean, I still actually liked this episode. It's just like, the only problem was, like I said, it's just getting overshadowed by 88, and I can't do anything without comparing the two, and it's kind of an issue. If you're wondering when the tournament is actually going to start, judging by our synopses, we've got another like 4 weeks at least, at the minimum, 4 weeks until the tournament, maybe a bit longer. There's some weird ideas that are coming in the next few weeks, and I do wonder how they're going to handle those, because I am a little concerned that it's going to, if anything is going to potentially screw up this arc, it could be that, but we'll see. I still liked this episode. I'm still excited as to what they're going to do with everyone and all of these characters and these fights, and yeah, Super is doing stuff, and I couldn't be happier. So this is Gabby, signing out, and I'll see you all next week. Bye guys!